Imagine a red ball rolling down an inclined plane. When you look at this, you just see, well, a rolling red ball. But the highly counterintuitive truth of human cognition is that your brain doesn't actually receive a single unified picture of that ball. According to our current understanding of the visual cortex, the visual info is completely broken down and separated. It's kind of like a giant puzzle. One specific area of the visual cortex represents the form, the roundness. Another completely different area codes for that red color. And yet other areas are specifically tasked with coding the speed, the direction of movement, and its location in space. All of these disparate neural populations are literally spread out all across your visual cortex.
So this brings us to a massive conceptual cliffhanger that challenges all our assumptions about perception. If the redness is over here, the roundness is over there, and the motion is somewhere else entirely, how is this information put together to generate an integrated percept? How does your brain actually know the red belongs to the ball and not, say, the surface it's rolling on?
Which leads us to Section 2, the visual binding problem.
This is what we call visual binding. It's the process where the brain takes information spread all over your visual cortex and stitches it back together. The form of the ball melds perfectly with its color and its movement, so you experience a single object moving through space, rather than just a chaotic jumble of sensory inputs. And figuring out exactly how the brain achieves this integration, well, that's known as the visual binding problem. It is a massive puzzle for modern cognitive neuroscience.
Moving on to Section 3, Hierarchical Processing.
To start making sense of these separate features, the brain begins a climb up a neural chain of command. Lower stages code for really simple traits, like basic lines or colors. Then it moves up to higher stages that code for larger, more complex entities. Now, at the very top of this network, some early theories actually suggested there might be a single, highly specific cell that codes for a single complex concept. They called it a grandmother cell or even a Jennifer Aniston cell. But think about it. That system would be incredibly brittle. If you damaged just a few specific cells, you'd literally lose the ability to recognize Jennifer Aniston. So, current thinking favors a different approach called sparse population coding. Instead of one dedicated cell, objects are recognized by overlapping, widely distributed networks of neurons firing in sync across your brain. It's all about teamwork. A single neuron might help recognize Jennifer Aniston, for sure, but it also pitches in to help recognize your grandmother.
Next up, Section 4, Feature Integration Theory. We're going to look at a highly influential solution to this visual puzzle, put forward by Treisman and Gallade in 1980.
So if we have widely distributed networks and scattered features, how do they actually stick together? Enter the feature integration theory. Step 1 is instant and automatic. It's a rapid, pre-attentive parallel processing where your brain instantly grabs basic features like colors and shapes all at once. But step 2 is slower serial processing, and it requires focused attention. According to the theory, your attention actually acts as the glue to bind these features together into an object. It's like gluing a curve and a yellow color together so you interpret it as a banana. And here is the wild part. Without this crucial attention glue, your brain can accidentally combine things randomly, producing a completely illusory conjunction. You might mistakenly see a yellow banana from random shapes and colors scattered in a scene.
All right, Section 5, Top-Down Processing. Let's introduce a twist.
So far, we've focused on bottom-up processing, which is building a picture directly from raw sensory pieces. But perception isn't just passive recording. It's an active construction. Top-down processing relies heavily on your expectations and your prior knowledge. Your brain's generative model is actively predicting what you're going to see based on past experience. And those top-down prediction signals can actually inhibit or completely snuff out the bottom-up sensory prediction errors your eyes are trying to bind together.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is, well, I want you to just read the phrase out loud. You probably just read Paris in the spring, right? But look a little closer at the second line. The word the is actually repeated, Paris in the spring. Because you already know this famous phrase, your top-down expectation completely dominated the raw visual features your eyes were binding. Your brain essentially predicted what was there and just overwrote reality. And finally, Section 6, the unsolved mysteries.
We've mapped out some great visual theories today, but the brain still holds profound secrets. What about hearing? The auditory cortex doesn't clearly separate sound features, like pitch, loudness, and location, into neat, distinct regions like the visual cortex does. Because the features aren't separated the same way, we quite literally don't know how auditory binding works yet. And furthermore, we still don't fully grasp how the leap from synchronized neurons to a rich, subjective conscious experience actually happens. Where's the true seat of consciousness in the brain? It remains one of science's absolute greatest unsolved mysteries. Thanks for joining us for this explainer, and keep questioning what you see.